The Maid of Honour speech. Traditionally, only the male members of the wedding party gave speeches, but thankfully, this is starting to change and more brides and maids of honour are giving speeches at weddings. Most of the time, maids of honour speak either just before the bride and groom, after the parents of the bride and groom, or just before the best man, who is usually last to speak. Obviously, the running order of the speeches is up to the wedding party, so check with the bride and groom what they have in mind. Sometimes you may be asked to be the MC with the best man for the event, which means getting everyone's attention and introducing each speaker and looking after the running order. Other times you'll just be asked to speak at your turn. Again, check with the bride and groom what way they prefer you to look after the speeches. Essentially, your speech is to be light-hearted and compliment the bride and groom and wish them well in their journey together. Introduction. Unless you're having a very small and intimate wedding, you may not know everybody, and many of the relatives from the other family and guests' partners won't know who you are, so you'll have to introduce yourself as the maid of honour and explain your relationship to the bride. The main part of your speech should be about the happy couple, with more emphasis on the bride and poking fun at them while wishing them well in the future. Try to pick out personal stories that highlight their personalities, their sense of humour and shared experiences that you've had to show how they're perfect for each other. Recalling personal memories of times that you spent together with the bride or your first impressions of meeting him are great ways to give the guests more of an insight into the couple. We're not looking to destroy their characters here, just make them feel a little uneasy knowing that you have a lot of embarrassing stories in your arsenal. If you've any personal stories about what happened in the background during the early stages of the courtship, if they were planning a date that didn't go well, or some funny misunderstandings that aren't too personal, this can be a funny insight into how you knew that these two were meant for each other. The tone of your speech is very important, as it needs to be a mix of good-natured jokes and compliments, keeping everybody upbeat and happy. There's a full video later on how to start structuring your speech and how to brainstorm ideas. The best way to end your speech is with a final anecdote and a desire to see the couple build a happy and loving future together. Remember, you really want to keep your main speech to 5 minutes or under. It might be tough to cut some of the great anecdotes and stories from people in the wedding party, but if there are a few speeches, the guests will thank you for keeping it brief. You can always tell people that you have a few other stories that you had to cut from the speech to save the groom's total public humiliation. But you're more than happy to tell stories one-on-one after the dinner.